So good morning, YouTubers. In front of you, you see the ill-gotten gains of my various purchases over the last 10 days or so. I'm fondly calling it my kind of spring haul to sort of justify to myself with the advent of spring why I've suddenly started spending money on cosmetics and perfume and things when I already have plenty, and had kind of vowed to myself to use up some of what I've got, but I've just really wanted to get things recently, so here we go. Some of the purchases, I have to say, already I'm beginning to regret, either because they're not that great or because I've got similar items, I don't really need them, but others I'm really pleased with, so I thought I'd share what I got. First up are two foundations and a concealer from the Bourjois Healthy Mix range, and these are the Healthy Mix Serum Gel Foundations and a concealer. I heard about the gel foundations on a couple of YouTube videos and other blogs, but mainly Lisa Eldridge has been doing a fantastic series on foundations for different types of skin and all sorts of tips for choosing and wearing and applying foundation, and I always recommend her videos. She's a serious makeup artist who looks great herself, and she has great recommendations for a whole variety of products at different price points. Now, she recommended of drugstore brands, particularly for dry or combination skin, and I have basically dry, although formerly combination skin, this foundation. And I'm basically a fan of high-end foundations, but I have to say I'm seriously impressed by this one. I initially bought shade 52, which is called Vanilla, and that's partly because it was the only reasonably light one that they had. It's not the lightest shade, so I went back yesterday and bought 51, which is light vanilla, and I'm going to experiment with that, because I would have said this one was just a tiny touch too dark for me, or not quite the right tone at this time of year. And right away I would say that the disadvantage, I think, of this range is there doesn't seem to be a huge colour range. And I've been to about 3 or 4 different stores to check out the Bourjois counter, which I wasn't familiar with, and all of them had at the most 4 different shades. I don't know if there are more. I mean, it does seem that the stocks are fairly depleted everywhere, I have to say. But for the price point, and I believe this cost me £10.99, this is a seriously good foundation. It is lighter coverage than my absolute favourite foundations, which would be by Terry and Laura Mercier Cream Silk foundation. I do find this is lighter. It's obviously more of a lotion, and it doesn't build up quite as much as those, but it does give a really good finish and good coverage. I would also say that it's not quite as long lasting as my other favourite, which would be Vitalumiere from Chanel. This claims to last for 16 hours. I don't think it does. I mean, on me, with or without primer, and I've tried with both, and I don't think primer makes a huge difference to the longevity of this foundation, maybe because it is already a gel consistency, I don't know, but I found basically I was getting about 8 to 10 hours wear from it before having to touch up. Maximum 10 hours, to be honest, really more an 8 hour, but that isn't bad. That's, you know, getting you through the majority of the working day before you have to touch up a little bit. But everything else about this foundation I like, and for the price it's really, really good. I would definitely buy it again, as I have bought now 2 shades. Now, I haven't actually, well, I've tried out once the concealer, and I used it to touch up under my eyes yesterday after I bought it. I did find it's slightly magnified creases, but it may be because I wasn't applying in the proper light with the proper tools, so I was a bit heavy-handed with it. So I will report back on that more in due course. The other drugstore item that I finally gave into was one of the Revlon lip butters that have been so popular. And I went for Tutti Frutti, basically because I wanted a kind of orangey colour to go with my nails, which were orange yesterday, they're green today. Have to say, I'm a bit disappointed with this product. Again, it's one of those YouTube raves, and it's cheapish if you're used to buying designer lipsticks. Just looking on my, yeah, £7.99. So obviously much cheaper than the sort of 20 pounds that you're spending at MAC or upwards at other stores. But yeah, it's really not that good. I mean, it basically just doesn't last on your lip. It feels okay going on. Actually, it's a bit too slimy for my liking. Doesn't really give much colour. I'm just really surprised that there are lots of cheap lipsticks and lip butters and lip glosses out there. Many of them actually cheaper than this. I mean, it's nicely packaged for a drugstore brand, but there was nothing in this that did the job better than other cheap products to me, and it just wasn't in the same league as the quality ones. I guess I can compare. There's a swatch in my bad lighting of this one. And of course, when I got home, I remembered that I did have a perfectly good orangey red Coco Mamselle in Rebelle. Now, similar consistency, moisturising. Obviously, they're slightly different tonal shades, although both are sort of orangey red. The Chanel's coming off much pinkier here. But there's just no comparison in the pigment. They're both creamy, moisturising looks and feels. This is Rouge Coco Shine, which is the kind of equivalent of a lip butter to my way of thinking. It's not a full matte, it's you know, moisturising lip colour. And I appreciate, of course, the Chanel is much more expensive, but there's absolutely no comparison in the way they feel, more importantly the way they last, and the pigmentation. So I'm surprised about the Revlon. I did go to Chanel yesterday. I wanted to look at their new range in the UK, mainly the nail polishes. They've got a kind of cinema theme going on with things like Starlet and Cinema, they're called, but in the end I wasn't that taken with any of the nail polishes, and bought one of the older collection called Distraction, a corally pink with a lovely shimmer in it. It's not quite coming off in this light, but I guess you can see it a little bit there. I haven't worn that yet. I did splash out, if splashing out can be the word, on some of the Barry M gel polishes. They were £3.99 at Superdrug, and in fact they were 3 for 2, so even cheaper than that in these gorgeous sherbet colours. I'm wearing the green one, which is called Greenberry. They're quite difficult to work with, if I'm honest. I found them really difficult to apply. Very, very streaky. That's 2 coats. And frankly, it's still streaky, but because it's quite a thick formulation, I couldn't put another coat on. It's said that they're super shiny. That's the gel point, and therefore you don't need a top coat. And I haven't got a top coat on, but I wouldn't actually call this shiny. It's certainly not as shiny as quality nail polishes. So there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that the quality is nowhere near the more premium brands. But, of course, the price point is very, very different. I'm getting 3 of this, and in fact, in reality, I could probably get 6 with the current offer for the price of one Chanel polish. Now, the other thing, of course, about these is they're very pretty colours, but they're there's no complexity in them. They do have a few glitter or effect polishes, but they're all very one-dimensional. They're one thing. There's none of the subtle colours that change in different lights that there are in some of the good Chanel products. So yeah, they're fun, and I'll see how they wear. I did go into MAC yesterday. I don't know why, because I didn't really need either of these items that I slightly regret. But I got a lip liner in Brick. I feel I ought to wear lip liners a bit more because my lip condition isn't too great at the moment. But I always forget, and I don't have the right colours. I've got some bright red, so I don't quite know why I went for that colour, to be honest. And I went and bought another eye kohl as well. And I've used this once. This is their brown bordered Technicolor liner. So it's one of these, not pencil ones, one of these pop-up ones. And I used it yesterday, and it's very nice to apply because it's very, very soft. But it was smudging and travelling literally within a couple of hours. So again, I hadn't put primer on. I'll try again today and report back, but I was a bit disappointed with that. So that was definitely my splurging getting out of hand. I haven't got to show you, but I have splashed out on some of the Real Techniques brushes now available in Boots. And I'm very impressed with them so far, but I've left them at work, so can't report at the moment. And the other two things are two Tom Ford fragrances. I'm really into fragrance at the moment. Champaca Absolute, gorgeous, sweet fragrance, and Santal Blush, a beautiful, lingering sandalwood. Haven't got time to talk about them now. They're horribly expensive. I've actually bought these on eBay, although I think they're genuine, at just under half price, but still pretty expensive. But they do pack a lot of punch for the money and stay and last very well. So I'm really set for perfume now. I've got to stop buying and use up what I've got. So those were my purchases, my spring haul. Give me a tick if you've enjoyed this, and I'll report back when I've worn more some of the things that I've bought. Bye for now.